Hey everyone, welcome to the results video of the Single Rail Coaster ride creation contest. Now before I start the video, I have a bit of a cold, so I apologize for any weird sounds you may hear. You may hear some sniffling. I'll try to keep it to a minimum. Anyway, that's also the reason I'm going to keep the length of this video to a minimum. So I've set a timer and I'll try not to talk about any of the entries for more than a minute. Yeah, there are 29 entries, so the video will quickly get quite long if I keep blabbering for too long. Anyway, 1 minute for every entry may not sound very long. Remember that you can always download these entries for yourself from my Discord server. The link is in the video description. Discord's completely free, and there you can check out all the entries in more detail. Alright, with that out of the way, let's move on to the entry that got last place. Okay, in last place we have this entry from Duny. Now this map is pretty empty. Of course, it looks like it's more supposed to look like a work of art rather than a full-fledged, very detailed park. So there's a big rainbow going around in the sky made of log flume boats. That's pretty weird, but I like the effect. And here there's the single rail coaster, which just sits in an empty desert here. So yeah, I guess it's just supposed to look very artsy, but it looks like most people didn't really understand it or didn't really like it since it got last place. So yeah, better luck next time. Okay, here's the entry from Corn Millie, a newcomer on my server, I believe. Here's this black single rail coaster with a very interesting support structure. They all have weird names as well. Magic, something wrong. A very interesting support structure. Kind of looks very ominous, very dark. So a nice black colored station here. Here's a little hole in the mountain. Maybe a volcano, not really sure. Or something emerging from the underground, I guess. But yeah, while it looks pretty cool, the layout of the coaster, it just looks a bit spaghetti. Also a very fast coaster, very sharp transitions here. And of course the map is a little bit lacking on the scenery department. Okay, here's the entry from Thor II. A big jungle-like map. So the single rail coaster, it travels on top of the mountain here. Here there's a really small tunnel. It emerges out of the water here again with a corkscrew over the water. Here it pops out of the ground again. And here it travels over the paths. Now, I must say, the layout of the coaster, kind of strange, but I feel it. But for the rest of the map, this looks a little bit flimsy, like these paths here. They don't really feel very substantial. Also quite a bit of undecorated land, so this transfer track also looks a little bit flimsy. So I think there's quite a lot of improvement which could have been made, especially in these areas over here. And for the coaster, probably nice to not have so much of the coaster underground, so it's much easier for the viewers to actually follow it. Okay, here's the entry from Gesso, or Gesso. He made this single rail coaster here on this parted land. There's this sort of look like Greek temples in the middle of the forest. Kind of a beach here. And a little bit of landscaping under the coaster. The layout, I think it's actually quite alright. It's pretty high up. Some really smooth turns here. Quite a lot of inversions. Maybe a little bit heavy on the corkscrews here. But yeah, I think the biggest problem in this map is that it doesn't really draw your attention for very long. I mean, the coaster is cool. But yeah, some more decorations around the coaster probably would have been nice. So it's a little bit slow in some parts, like over here. Some more decorations actually around the coaster, some ruins, stuff like that. Maybe even passing through some ruins. I think that would have been actually really nice. Like I said, just something to keep the attention of the viewer a little bit longer. I think this part also looks a little bit messy with these bushes here on the beach. And of course it's also raining when you open the map. Not really sure if that's what's supposed to happen. Okay, here's an entry from Zerati. I believe he was also in the first round on my multiplayer server. He's been with our community for very long, and it's always fun to see him enter one of these contests again. So yeah, he made a pretty small map, a pretty compact layout for the single rail coaster. I kind of like this first drop here. That's pretty cool. Now, for this tracky texture here with these supports, probably a good idea when you do something like this to actually hide the supports of these inverted impulse coaster track pieces like this. But also for these suspended lanterns here or whatever they are. That just makes them look much cleaner. So maybe a nicely decorated queue would have been nice. Well, yeah, rather than it's just using the default path. Maybe some coverings for the path. But I do like that there's a little wall around it. There's actually some gardens, so that's actually pretty nice. Now, it is very crowded in the park. It kind of looks like an ant colony. Yeah, and over here the decoration is mostly just trees. Although I must say the foliage actually does look pretty nice. So yeah, maybe with an entry that was a little bit bigger, a little bit cleaner, I think it would have scored a lot higher. But yeah, it's always nice to see Zerati back in the contest again. Okay, here's the entry from Notfall Lars. So here's the single rail coaster. So it does a drop, it immediately does a sharp turn, then goes up again, then does another drop with another sharp turn. Not really sure how comfortable this would be. But for sure, it does look like an interesting first element. Maybe it was a bit more spacious. It would have actually looked a bit more comfortable to actually ride. Oh yeah, some interesting buildings here. Lots of canyon pieces used here. Yeah, I generally recommend when you use these canyon pieces, you should vary it up a little bit more, because there's a lot of straight wall pieces here, and this looks very regular. And with these canyon pieces, it looks much nicer. It's a little bit more irregular. Also a wooden coaster here. Not really sure if a wooden coaster is the right choice for a map like this. Wooden coasters typically take up quite a lot of space, so it really looks tucked in or crammed in the corner here. So yeah, maybe not the right choice. Also the layout is quite short because of that. And there's a lot of brown in the map. I always recommend mixing up the colors a bit. Maybe add some different color highlights to make it all blend less. Hey, here's the entry from Albert and Spratty. So they made a big forest here with a lot of fire. You can see a fire truck here. Some an handyman here that's running really frantically. Here's a fire station, looks like. So more of the staff running around like mad. Not really sure if that's intentional, but for when there's a forest fire raging, I can at least understand it. Oh, here's their single rail coaster, nicely tucked away here. The layout isn't that bad actually. I think it looks quite alright. There's lots of trees here with some fire in between. Here's some no entry signs. I always recommend hiding those signs, because they don't really look like something you would encounter in a real park. And I guess actually enter and exit here over the road. I think they went a bit crazy here on the lamps. When you use these lamps, I think it looks nicer if you just spread them out a bit and don't put 5 of them together here. So some of them are broken. Again, it might be intentional in this park, but I'm not sure. Overall, I think this is quite a nice entry. It really tells a story. Alright, next entry is from Merlin Corner. Now, sometimes you might see the scores below here with 3 numbers after the digit. I can barely say the word 3 numbers after the digit. And yeah, I do that when 2 scores are really close together. So then the 3rd digit shows who actually got the higher score. So yeah, you will see that, I believe, 3 times in this video. There are no ties, but some scores were incredibly close together. Now, here's Merlin's coaster. It's Wonder Woman, Golden Lasso. It might be a recreation of a real single rail coaster. I think it actually looks quite cool. I like the colors and the layout is pretty nice. Now, in the rest of the map are also some other rides. Yeah, not really sure about the color scheme on this stuff around the merry-go-round. I mean, the building looks quite cool, but all these different colors, I think they don't really go well together. So for these other rides, yeah, probably a good idea to actually name your other rides rather than giving them all a standard name like Bob's Lake Coaster 1. It just really doesn't draw in the viewer. Yeah, overall, I think this is quite a nice map. Some nice landscaping done around the map. I really like the foliage here, so the landscaping is really nice. Oh yeah, throughout the map it just could have used quite a bit more polish, I think. Alright, here's the entry from Colonel Swampy. So he made this big ice park. Now when you zoom out, I think it looks pretty cool. I also like that he went for snow weather. You don't see that very often. I think it's a nice addition in Open Roller Coaster Tycoon too. And it's nice to see some people use it. Now what I really like is these husky tours. These husky cars flying around here. That's pretty cool. It's like a Santa Claus sleigh. So he actually made two single rail coasters. This is the one that the viewers had to rate. So yeah, something that I immediately saw was these launched freefall towers. Now these supports here are all blue. The track is white, and then this launched freefall tower is red with white, and then here are other supports with white and blue. Not really sure if this is a good color scheme. Probably would have been nicer if this was sort of the same color as the track. Maybe something like this or this. But yeah, that's just my opinion. I think this actually makes it look more like it's part of the support structure. But yeah, just my opinion. Some nice buildings here, although I think the buildings, yeah, they use the same texture for these large areas. So I always recommend mixing up the textures a bit. Although I do like this structure here. That's pretty cool. For the outside of the map, yeah, these icebergs, I think they're a bit spammed. Also these ships. I mean, how many stranded ships in the ice would you find in a park? So yeah, it's probably a little bit overused. And for this entrance bridge, this track texture around it, probably a little bit overdone. Although I do like these flags that are put on top. So yeah, some nice stuff in this map. Also some stuff could have probably used an improvement. Also these edges around the map, they are very blocky. I always like my maps to have a little bit of height variation, and probably that's also a good idea to do around the edge of your map. Alright, here's the entry from Willow 536. So he made this single rail coaster that more resembles one of those Intamin Hot Racers. So the coaster actually does one lap around the track, and then here it goes past the station and then does another lap on the blue track. Now when you make a coaster like this, typically you would expect it to race with the other train. Usually when you use block brakes, I think you should be able to actually make them line up properly. If you, well, obviously you have to do the block brakes properly and probably play a bit with the booster speeds. But it looks like Willow wasn't actually able to get it done. So that's why they don't actually race each other, and yeah, there's quite a big distance between them. So yeah, that's really a shame. I think if they actually raced, this entry would have scored much higher, because it is a quite nice layout. Some nice decorations as well. Really looks like sort of a racetrack. Some shops here, like main stage. So yeah, I think it's quite a nice entry, but yeah, such a shame that the trains don't actually race each other. Okay, here's the entry from Mosquito. I believe he recreated the coaster Jersey Devil. So yeah, I'm not really sure how much it follows the original. But yeah, probably squeezed in here, because the map size that was allowed for this contest wasn't very big. And you can see that on some of these hills they look very triangular. And that's probably just because he tried to squeeze in this layout. Now when you're recreating a layout, you don't have much space. It's probably best to just take some artistic liberty. For example, you could have probably just left out one of these hills, or maybe do like a barrel roll, something like that. And then probably it would have fit in the space here much nicer. I do like these supports. He used the observation tower for it. So this car ride track under the lift hill. I think that's also a nice detail. For the rest of the map, looks very crowded. Not really sure about all these purple balloons. I generally like to not give my guests balloons, but some people do like it. Very simple station. Some nice decorations around it. I do like the landscaping around it. Here's also a wild mouse ride. Does look very fast here in these corners. Maybe it could have used a little bit less speed. But yeah, overall I think this is quite a nice entry, although this a little bit crammed in. And here's the entry from Fault Boy's cousin. No, he actually made quite a nice landscape. I like this little river, all these trees around, some nice land texturing as well, nice foliage around. So I think he did an incredible job at that. Also the landscape on which this coaster travels, I think he did a really nice job there. Very pleasant to look at. So the layout of the coaster, nice and compact. It does go a little bit all over the place here, but yeah, it does fit in this space here very nicely. So a nice little station here, nicely decorated queue. The other rides here also given a very nice location. I'm not really sure about this swinging or this inverter ship here. Still has the original entrance and exit building. Maybe it would have been nicer to actually theme it. But yeah, can't have everything. Maybe it was intentional, I don't know. Yeah, also some nice other buildings here. Snack bar. I believe this is the entrance, also looks really good. So yeah, overall I think this is a wonderful entry. Great job. Okay, here's the entry from Eurotapius or Zerati. So he made a McDonald's themed coaster. Yeah, the colors of course really pop. It's the McDonald's color scheme with the red and yellow. Not really sure about these supports. Real coasters you really never see curved supports. But maybe they're supposed to highlight the M. Not really sure. Quite a big mix of supports. I generally recommend to stick to one or two types of supports rather than mixing a lot of them. Well, it was quite a funny entry, especially this stuff like this frying pan here on top of the scrambled eggs, right? That's actually quite funny. So a nice little transfer track here. Yeah, the layout, a little bit all over the place. Some weird elements like this barrel roll here into inverted corkscrew. Yeah, quite interesting elements here. Not really sure about these supports here. But yeah, quite a weird entry. So the rim of the map has this really big red border around here. Personally, I don't really like this color of red. Also a little bit glitchy here around the map. So yeah, to be fair, this was not my favorite, but I did really find this a funny entry. I especially love this frying pan. That's a really funny trick. Okay, here's the entry from NFE. So he made this very mountainous landscape with the coaster traveling right through it. Kind of like this first drop. So it drops down this curve, and then after that it goes down the big drop into the mountain and goes around here. So a little bit of a twisty section here. Here at the end it's actually quite fast. Probably could have done a little bit more with the layout of the coaster. Here's a little bit of a mountain town. Now the theme of this area, it's I don't think it's very consistent. Here you have these tarmac paths, Lots of wooden buildings, and here it looks a bit more futuristic. So with these red and black paths here. So I'm not really sure about the theme of the town here. But yeah, this part of the map, especially if you look like this, I think this is really nice landscaping. And that's what I really like about this map. Great job. Okay, here's the entry from Bob Kenny Unicorn. Now, he made this single rail coaster in kind of like a futuristic setting, or maybe steampunky. It's called Pure Energy. Quite a long queue here with lots of decorations here. Some of these sun covers here. Quite a big building here for the coaster. So after the first drop, he actually did a little trick where he merged some vertical track pieces. So the coaster actually abruptly turns around here, drops down, and then here it goes up, and it will be on the other side of the track, and that's how we did an inverted top hat here. And here it merges again with another 180 degrees turned vertical piece. You can actually see it in action here. So here it switches to the other side of the track, and here it does the same thing again. Quite a neat trick here. And it's all covered in the building, so the viewer won't typically see it. Quite a fun trick. Yeah, and something that I also really liked in this map was this car ride that he made here. I think this actually quite steals the show. Really nicely themed, a really nice construction area it looks like, or like a factory theme. Yeah, I really like this mini factory. Very nice map. Okay, we're past the halfway mark now. Here's the entry from R. Adrian 1994. He made a really small single rail coaster. Again, also more like one of those Intamin layouts. So here it launches on this nicely colored launch track, goes up the hill, then it does several turnarounds here. Also some inversions low to the ground. I actually quite like this layout. I really wish it was more of the center point of the park. Because yeah, right now it just looks like yeah, a small part of the park. It would have been nice if it was more the centerpiece. But yeah, the rest of the park, I think it's also pretty nice. Lots of other rides here. So Wild Mouse, there's a junior coaster here, Log Flume. There's lots of nice little rides here to look at. Very nicely decorated. Yeah, it all feels very cozy. Okay, here's the entry from Boracay. He made this coaster in this jungle theme here. Now, I really like the way he did his supports. They look very nice. Also these vertical arches here. Pretty well done. So I really love this abstract ball of glass that he put here. Just sits here in a really nice way. For the layout of the coaster, I think it looks a little bit boring in the beginning, because well, it drops down here. That's pretty nice, but there's a normal hill here, another hill here. There's another hill here, another hill, and only here it starts its first inversion. So yeah, these coasters can do a lot of different inversions, so probably would have been nice if it started its first inversion a little bit sooner maybe. So it goes through the corkscrew here quite quickly. So yeah, probably would have been nice if it was a little bit more inversion heavy. But yeah, I do really like how this coaster sits here in the landscape. As for the landscape, yeah, it's all very flat. The cutout is also very straight. Probably would have been nice if it was a little bit more irregular. Maybe a little bit more height variation would have been nice here. But still, overall, pretty nicely done. Okay, here's the entry from Invalid Yellow. Now, fitting to his name, it's very yellow. So the coaster here is yellow. And there's a fountain here. This is most definitely water. Also some boxes with more water here. Now, what I really like about this entry is the landscaping. This coaster sits in the landscape so nicely. A lot of land dug out. The paths go up here around the coaster. So yeah, landscape absolutely beautiful. I like how the land is dug out and the coaster sits in it. And that gives the guests a great view of the coaster here. Layout also pretty nice. Also like the supports that he did here. Not really a big fan of these supports that I sometimes see people do with these pipe pieces and these slanted poles attached. these slanted poles look much nicer if they're against normal support, because typically supports are done in a triangular fashion, so with one vertical support and a diagonal one, just to give it more strength. The queue also pretty nicely done. Yeah, I think this is just a wonderful entry, and like I said, this great landscaping. This just really makes the coaster pop, and it's nice, and yeah, it's really the centerpiece of the map. And here is the entry from Velvet. Velvet made this huge single rail coaster, although there's such a big support structure for it that it's easy to forget that it's actually a single rail coaster, especially here for the lift hill. You can see lots of track layered on top of each other. So yeah, I think that actually makes it lose a bit of the essence of it being a single rail coaster. Yeah, in a single rail coaster you really want it to be slender, I think, so you have the feeling you could fall off at any time. And yeah, this is just a little bit too beefy, I think. But still, it does look wonderful. I mean, if this was for any other contest, I would have scored this much higher, probably. Well, yeah, great layout for the coaster as well. It just swoops down this mountain a lot. Yeah, big drop here, big inversion. Here's a bit of a mid-course brake run. More inversions here, and it just swoops through this mountainous landscape. Going really fast. Quite a lot of vertical track as well. Several inversions. So yeah, definitely befitting of its name, a perilous plunge. Great landscaping throughout the map as well. So I definitely recommend to watch this entry, give it a download, and watch it for yourself. It's a great entry. Okay, here's the entry from Ethan. Ethan made this really ghostly roller coaster. Well, it uses the ghostly palette from Cactus Coffee that he made in an earlier round. Love this decoration here in the middle. Yeah, it can be quite difficult to use some of these expansion objects in a nice way. I think this is greatly done here. So it's just one of these. I believe this is an Atlas statue, and it's covered by these single rail track pieces. Now, a lot of the track texture doesn't actually have a name, so it's called Single Rail Roller Coaster 1. I think it's a little bit lazy to do that. It's much nicer if you actually give it a name to show what it represents. Now, I believe this is supposed to be a ghost train or something, ghost roller coaster, because it actually goes around, but the guests cannot actually reach it. So yeah, I'm not really sure about that. So a Ferris wheel that goes around here. It does actually have some guests on it. But yeah, really nice structure here for the coaster. Really nice buildings as well. Love these decorations. Big train over here as well. So yeah, this wonderful decoration. There was not a story for the map, which I think is a little bit of a shame. Because I think it would have been a great way to explain why there's not actually any guests on the coaster. Okay, here's the entry from Old School. This is a very steampunky vibe. You can see the station for the coaster here. I think it looks incredible. Called Lightning Rail. I love this station with these cogwheels and these abstract roofs. There's lots of nice little decorations. Also these merchant pieces. Layout of the coaster also really nice. I love these supports that he used for this first little drop here. So yeah, the layout of the coaster very nice in this first part. Over here, it's just a little bit spread out. Probably, I generally like coasters a little bit more if they're a bit more compact and if they don't encompass a large area. Over here, it just wiggles back and forth a little bit. Yeah, overall, I really like this first part. That looks really good. So I really like the buildings here, the way that the landscape. These mine buildings here look really good in between all these trees. Foliage done really well. Landscaping also brilliant. Love these waterfalls here. So these very jagged rocks. So go-kart hidden here, away here in the mountain. Probably quite a fun track to race on. So yeah, overall this is just a wonderful entry from Old School. Great job. Alright, AJ is back with an entry. He actually went for a dueling shuttle single rail coaster. So I believe it was called Mongols versus Korea. So here's the station, beautifully done with these circus tents and also these ride exits. So it's a nice combination here. So they get shot out of the station here. They both go their separate ways. And here finally at the end they meet up again. They go up this vertical spike on top of this building here. And then after that they race back to the station. So it's a very busy entry. There's lots of details everywhere. I just love all the little decorations that AJ put on all these buildings. Lots of fire as well. Also lots of these volcano rock pieces. Some nice rows of bushes here. Something that maybe is a little bit lacking is maybe some more color in the map. Most of it's very gloomy, brown. There are some little highlights here and there. Maybe a little bit more color would have been nice. But yeah, overall I think AJ made a wonderful entry. And here's the entry from Dark Coro and the Shack. They made this wonderful coaster here. Lots of these ruins pieces. And the coaster really pops in this entry because yeah, it's bright orange. Very big contrast with the rest of the entry. And it's actually quite cool to follow it throughout this layout. Triple corkscrew here. So yeah, quite heavy on the inversions. So yeah, cobra roll here. Here a big something that looks like a Norwegian loop. So yeah, it just has these nice interaction moments here. I really like how it goes over the path here. Here it goes under the path with this big inversion. So yeah, lots of places for the guests to actually stand still and watch the ride. You can actually also see them do that in quite a few of these places. So yeah, I always love some good ride interaction. So some nice fountain, or I mean waterfalls here, which the coaster also passes under. Yeah, just a beautiful station. Also really like the way they did the map edge. So nicely done. Not really sure about this secret mine. Kind of weird to have it sit on the top of the black tiles here. But yeah, overall this is a wonderful entry. Go check it out for yourself. There's just a lot of nice stuff to be seen here. Okay, here's the entry from Kazulius. Now, beautiful entry. I love this Egyptian theme that he went for. Yeah, I love the watercolor as well. It looks like there's a really nice gradient in the water here. Probably using some lighter land here under the water. But he probably did something with the watercolors to make this bit of a gradient in it. And it looks really nice. Gives this water a really nice tint. These pyramids here, I think they look really nice also with these patches of wood, or these stripes of wood added in. Really nice layout for the single rail coaster as well. I love the colors. This reddish color of brown goes really well with the blue that's used for the track. I love these supports that Kazulius made for these, especially for these curved track pieces here. That's just really nicely done. Also some other nice rides here. Here's a double, shuttle loop with a double loop. Some really cool other rides here as well. I love this scrambled eggs ride with a scrambler. So a part of a wooden coaster here. And I really love this arcade hole that he made. There's duck hunt here, dodgems. And there's also ladders. So yeah, wonderful entry from Kazulius. I really enjoyed this. Great details, great landscaping throughout. Alright, Enoch also made an entry. So here you can see one of these Intamin models. So these coasters here get launched. Not really much of a station here, it looks like. More of a normal platform here, which they get launched from. So they travel through this layout twice. There's a double launch in this entry. Yeah, Enoch themed it to look like a racetrack, so that's actually really cool. So yeah, just quite a simple layout. I love how they race each other throughout it. They duel really nicely. I think Enoch did a great job there. So I love the way he made these spots look very curvy here. yeah, that just makes these paths look much more organic than if you just use paths that are very jagged. Yeah, there's wonderful foliage throughout the map. I also love these buildings here. They look great. And looks like there's a very old town here above the map. So it's a beautiful landscaping here as well. I love how he put all these trees here next to the water. Just looks like a beautiful river here. And yeah, I think Enoch did an amazing job here with this coaster, but also with the landscaping. Wonderful. Okay, here's the entry from Hobion. Now he made a big mall with this coaster on top of it. Coasters on top of buildings. Where did we see that before? Definitely not in my mega park. But yeah, I love how the coaster actually dives into the building here and comes out again with this inversion. Really cool layout for this coaster. Love these big sharp hills here. There's some nice inversions here as well. Maybe could have been a little bit longer because the coaster still has a lot of speed here. But yeah, overall this is just wonderfully decorated. Love this support structure here, that looks amazing. I also love the rooftop terrace. You can see the guests can walk around here and throughout this area. Lots of places for them to actually look at the coaster here. Wonderful station for the coaster. And actually the building is also decorated on the inside. If you look inside here, you can see there's different layers to the mall. Several other rides here as well, and there's even 2 more coasters to be found inside here. So yeah, this is another one of those entries that I cannot fully cover in this short video, but I do hope you like what you see here. And of course, you can simply download this entry from my Discord server and check it out for yourself. I really recommend it. Okay, in third place we had this entry from Lurker and Shelter. This was also one of my favorite entries. Now this single rail coaster, really loved the color scheme. A very bright red, so with some nice support under it. Love these vertical supports. Yeah, they kind of look like arches. Very nicely done. Especially love this first drop here. It looks cool from every angle. Looks very twisted. Yeah, that's really the thing about these single rail coasters. They can do very tight angles, and I think they made great use of that. Very cool layout here as well. Especially love this bit of a double drop here. I'm not really a big fan of this big cobra roll here with this extended section in the middle, but I really love the rest of the track here. The color scheme in the map, just wonderful. I love the different colors that the ground has here. So the water here, very nice gradient in it. That looks so cool. So yeah, looks like a sunset, but a little bit more red. And yeah, it's just a great palette. I love it. So this building here, it just screams Lurker. I think this is probably one of my favorite buildings from this entire contest. Really nicely done. Alright, there's just 2 entries remaining. I will show the 2 remaining entries, and after that I will reveal which one is the winner of the round. Okay, here's the entry from Milpia. Now, already when you zoom out, this is just an amazing entry. I mean, the landscaping here, just look at this giant waterfall, these huge trees above it. I mean, man, this is just some wonderful landscaping. These trees, they just look so cool. All these buildings, so nicely detailed. And of course the station for this dueling coaster, just awesome. So yeah, I believe these 2 trains get launched from the station here. So yeah, you can see them both here. The guests are getting on. They will get launched from the station, and they race each other throughout this layout. You can actually see them go here. Now, some amazing support structures here, using more single rail coaster track. I think this track has been one of the nicest additions to Open RCT2. And they race each other so well. They follow each other through the layout. Sometimes one of them takes over. Yeah, just a beautiful entry from Milpia once again. yeah, there's just so many cool little details. You can see one of these rides that's used as track texture with a lot of these cog wheels. There's just so much cool stuff to look at here. So yeah, for sure, go download this entry for yourself and check it out. This is just amazing. And that's not all. So Milpia actually hid a little scene here. So it says it's a date. I believe it's 13th of or 12th of January 2022. A little baby girl. That's Milpia's way of telling us that he's gonna become a father. It's such a nice surprise and such a cool way to reveal it to the world, or to our Discord at least. So yeah, I already want to congratulate Milpia on becoming a father soon. I really wish you all the happiness, and probably we will see a little bit less entries from Milpia by then, because becoming a father, I know from a lot of people that it will take up a lot of your time. Alright, let's check out the other entry. Okay, here's the entry from Risico, a completely different entry, still amazing building here. So yeah, this is looks like the Capitol building, although a little bit more green. So yeah, this is just beautiful layering. I love all these different scenery pieces and walls that are layered next to each other to create this amazing building here. So this dome, yeah, just looks incredible. Use these Colosseum pieces, RMC track pieces, a little graveyard monument on top. Just such a good combination of elements here. Love this entrance here as well. These sides of the building, also incredible. Yeah, here you can see a few more buildings that he added. These look a lot like buildings from the Ancient Worlds park. Almost look like copies. Here, the station for the coaster looks beautiful. I love how we put this single rail coaster track on top of this RMC track. They go together so well. I really like that. Nice first drop, some nice supports here as well. Also, I really love this hop over the other track with this little piece of hardline twisted track. So nice. Yeah, this section here, just a little knot. I love this, the way he passes over the track here. Some really cool path interaction here. So yeah, just a beautiful layout for this single rail coaster. Yeah, just beautiful buildings from Risico. Yeah, this is just amazing. It's not a miracle it scored so high. Alright, now that we've seen the entries from Milpia and Risico, it's time to reveal which one is the winner of the round. The winner of the single rail coaster ride creation contest is... Milpia. So not only does Milpia become a father of a little baby girl, he also took home the win in this round. Not a surprise, this landscaping, these trees, incredible, great layouts for the single rail coaster. Of course, Risico's entry was also very nice, amazing. So beautiful entries in this round, lots of newcomers as well. I really hope to see these newcomers progress. You can often see a lot of improvement in between rounds from people, so I hope to see a lot of that in the coming rounds. So yeah, lots of beautiful entries in this round. Looks like a lot of people had a lot of fun with this contest, and yeah, I hope the next one will be just as much fun. Alright, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you all enjoyed joining this contest, and I'll see you again in the next one. See you later.